Yo, friends, welcome back
to
the Nerd Guys
podcast.
How you guys doing? Chilling, hanging out, relaxing.
We back, baby.
We back.
We promised you we'd be back, and we are back.
And today we got something good for you. Got something good.
Today we are talking about a topic that I know very little about. I'm kind of attuned to it just because of other shows that I used to watch, but it's all good.
And from this, you'll be able to start watching.
Yes, sir. But before we get into any of that, it's me, your boy Kitsune Sai,
and me, Jamie Shadow 9.
And we're back to give you another episode.
Episode time, baby.
But first, make sure you follow us on all the socials. At Jamie Shadow 9 on Instagram, at Kitsune Sai on Instagram, at Underground335 on Instagram, at Jamie Shadow 9 on YouTube
and X/Twitter.
Yes. And also at Kitsune Sai on YouTube and TikTok.
Yeah. You boys are very busy.
Very busy. Very, very busy.
Handling all the little social media things in the background. Oh, and don't forget, join us on Discord.
Yes, please join the Discord. We're about to open up a new section of the Discord, so you'll want to be around for that.
Yeah. We're working on something in the background that Kitsune came up with today, and yeah. Also, related to that, just look out for the things happening in the lore channel. There's gonna be some lore written.
Yes. Question: would you all like merch? I like merch. You like merch?
Yeah.
Would they like merch?
Yeah.
Because I've had some ideas cooking up in my head, and if you all wanted them, voice your opinions in the comments. If you want merch bad enough, we'll make a store. If not, you'll just have to wait until we get ready to make the store.
Yeah.
So, merch line 1 may be coming soon. Let us know.
So, shall we kick this off?
Yes. Let's begin.
Alright. So, today's topic is Kamen Rider.
What? Henshin.
Henshin.
Henshin a go-go, baby. I'm sorry. I mean, technically, it kind of matches.
I mean, Beautiful Joe did get a lot of his things from Kamen Rider.
Exactly. So again, technically,
transforming heroes have always been a thing, which I dig.
Exactly.
So we already had a Power Rangers episode. We talked about Power Rangers. We talked a little bit about Super Sentai as well. And there is a Super Sentai episode coming later down the road, of course. But we decided today we're going to talk about Kamen Rider. We're going to talk about the history of Kamen Rider. So we're going to go into what is a Kamen Rider, or what makes a Kamen Rider, the different eras of Kamen Rider, and then we're going to go into some topics like the it's probably going to be my introduction to Kamen Rider. But our introductions to Kamen Rider, what I consider, or what me and my friends consider, the big three of Rider. We'll discuss rider designs, which ones we like and, you know, have fondness for. And, like, going through some little interesting tidbits.
I'm biased. For right now.
Favorite riders, music and theme songs. We're going to talk about Revice. I'm not going to spoil it, but I will talk about it a little bit to get some hype towards it because it's good. And then we'll end off with recommendations for rider series.
And then after we're done with the episode, we're hopping on Splatoon 3. This is not a paid product placement for Splatoon. It's just a fun game that we both enjoy playing. The drizzle season is here, baby.
It's drip time, baby. Get some drip while it's drizzling.
Yup. Sorry, Mrs. Kitsune was staring at us and our corny jokes. The knee slappers. Alright.
Shout outs to Mrs. Kitsune.
I know, she's a real one. Like, you all don't know, but she takes care of us while we're recording.
Yeah.
If there's anything that we need, she grabs it for us to make sure the show keeps rolling on. Uninterrupted. She's the best. That's why I love her. That's why Mrs. Kitsune is Mrs. Kitsune. And not Mrs. Insert name here.
Yeah. But shall we get started? Shall we let people know what is a Kamen Rider?
We were supposed to get started like 3 times. But let's get started. No, I'm joking. So, to start off, what is a Kamen Rider? A Kamen Rider is an action hero who fights villains.
Yes.
For those that are familiar, it's kind of like a Power Ranger, a Beetleborg, VR Trooper. Yeah, it's one of those Toku shows. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. Where you have the hero that's in the flashy costume and they scream Henshin or some form of transform, and they have a morphing sequence.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yes, absolutely correct. And what's funny is Kamen Rider predates Super Sentai by 4 years because it's 1971, and it is I should have wrote that down.
It's fine. It's what?
It is the kind of birthplace of a lot of like action hero
Inspiration.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of evident because when I was first introduced to Kamen Rider, I was like, hey, is this another Power Ranger episode? And that's actually what made me watch it. But at the same time, I thought it was kind of like the revival of Beetleborgs.
Right.
And I'm like, why do all these shows look alike?
And it's because they were created by either the same person or similar people.
Well, that's what happens when you get a good idea. So, Kamen Rider, ironically enough, can also be translated to, or was also known as, in Japan originally,
Masked Rider. And it is what Kamen Rider was called for a time. It was called the Masked Rider series.
That's such a badass name.
I know. It's kind of funny, like, thinking about it now, like, when I was researching it for you guys, I was like, you know, it was actually quite apt when we did get it over here in America. So I'm like, yeah, that does make a lot of sense. Like, that's something that I didn't think of when I was younger. But, like, when you get older and, like, you look into it, you're like, oh, yeah, I can see why we went with that.
Yeah, it's like common might just be a cooler word.
Yeah. Something that's catchy, something that, like, people can, like, grasp onto, that you know what it is when you say it, versus like Masked Rider is also the same thing where you can grasp onto it. It's like, okay, I understand. And as I was just said, Kamen Rider, when Kamen Rider was first brought to America, it was originally called...
We're dips.
What?
I just looked up what the word "kamen" means in Japanese. It means masked. So it's still the Masked Rider.
Oh wait, you read translated. And then... This is why you guys watch this show, isn't it?
Oh man, see, we are not perfect. We're like Kamen, Masked Rider, Kamen, Masked Rider.
And we literally read can also be translated to Masked Rider.
So, from here on out, we will refer to it as the Masked Rider or Kamen Rider.
I'll say Kamen Rider because that's what I call it.
I say Kamen Rider too.
Yeah.
Especially because the song that I'll sing a little bit later.
We'll get to the songs later. There's so many fantastic songs.
Woo!
But yes, when it was brought over here to America by Saban, those who know Saban, he's the one who brought Power Rangers to the States. When he brought it over, he also called it Masked Rider. And that's actually an adaptation of Kamen Rider Black RX.
I just want to know... Oh! Keep going. I have something that I need to look up because I believe there's an anime that might have been inspired by Kamen Rider, and I have it saved.
Okay. Now you're probably wondering, so who made Kamen Rider? Well, Toei producer Toru Hirayama proposed that the Masked Hero project in 1970, seeking help from manga artist Shotaro Ishinomori for designs.
Nice pronunciation.
I was I didn't want to get it wrong.
We tried very hard.
We tried very hard to be as accurate as possible, but also to not mess up.
Exactly.
When I was writing the material today, I double checked a lot of stuff, and some of it might be a little off or whatever, but
it's good.
It's good.
But you want to take the errors of Kamen Rider?
Sure. So now that we get the idea of what Kamen Rider is, there are errors of Kamen Rider. So if you're familiar with how Power Rangers works, you have the Saban era, the Disney era, Neo Saban, and now Hasbro.
Ugh.
And for me and a lot of my friends, we automatically go, the Disney era of Power Rangers is the goated one. That's the era that you... It's yeah.
Sorry, Saban era.
Neo Saban doesn't even stand a chance. And Hasbro's doing pretty good, but we have yet to get there.
Yes.
But Kamen Rider is the same, and it has 3 eras, and these eras are based on the emperors who were in power at the times that the shows were on.
I think it's awesome that they only have 3 eras, but it's kind of different.
Yeah.
Because like you said, with Power Rangers and Sentai, I'm used to 9 or 10 eras. Sorry, I can't speak.
Yeah, it's funny because everyone knows the Power Rangers era. If you go from Saban, it's from Mighty Morphin to Time Force and technically a little bit of Wild Force. Like Wild Force is the middle child where it's both Saban
People have been
and
counting
Disney.
them out. Sorry, the middle child, J. Cole. Sorry.
I started laughing because I was like, I know that song.
Hey, I know that one.
It's the middle child because it was bought by Disney, but it was still being ran by Saban at that point. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong on that, but regardless, like that, Saban started Wild Force and Disney bought it after, but bought Power Rangers afterwards, and then the Disney era officially starts with Ninja Storm and ends at RPM.
We always come back to Power Rangers and Sentai in every episode in some way. Sentai lives here. But, like Jamie was saying, there are 3 different eras of Kamen Rider. The Showa era, the Heisei era, like Hisui, and the Reiwa era.
That's the current era that Rider is in.
Yep. So, to start with the Showa era, that's the beginning of the Kamen Rider series, and it features a total of 10 riders. And through that, you can understand that it's 10 rider shows with 10 individual riders in each show, or across the span of the 10 shows.
An interesting fact that I learned is in the first series, the actor for the first Rider did get into an accident, which broke both his legs.
Oh,
so the writers were wanted to write him off, like kill him off, but the Toru was like, "No, we're not doing that."
Yo, the Japanese go so hard.
They were like, "We'll just switch, and we'll make a new writer," and that's where Kamen Rider V2 comes from.
Japanese shows go so hard, I swear. Another interesting fact is that all 10 riders are cyborgs. So they were created to fight evil organizations, similar to how in certain Power Ranger series and Sentai series, or maybe just Power Ranger series, just Power Ranger series, some of the Rangers were cyborgs that didn't know they were cyborgs up until recently, where some of them were just like robots.
Yeah.
Like,
so in Sentai, it's a little bit more like some of the characters may already know, or that that's their design character. Whereas take specifically for Power Rangers with Dylan from RPM, he was a person who was kidnapped by Vengex, then had all of his organs taken out and had robotics put inside of his body.
Imagine if Power Rangers wasn't for children. It would be a great show.
RPM's the closest thing to that. Yeah. Because that what I just explained is not like a kid's show thing.
No. But it makes me hopeful for the Kamen Rider series, because I know that where Power Rangers is kind of soft, Kamen Rider is a little bit more hardcore.
They're just like Sentai, they don't hold back on, hey, this person's gonna die or bleed a lot, or this abuse is happening, this crime, this bad, drugs and money, all this stuff is being addressed in this kids show.
Yeah, that's why I think it's interesting that all of the first 10 riders were cyborgs, because when you see it, you think automatically oh, it's a person and they just transform and get a suit and flashy. That makes more sense now.
Yeah.
So I just had a realization. In I forget which series, I think it was was it Don Don Brothers, the Sentai series?
Yeah.
They actually had a Kamen Rider character guest star in the show, and when they did the little transformation sequence, they used like, I don't remember what it was called, but I remember it was like purple and white and green, and they did their little dancey dance and transform, and I was like, wait, why is their transformation different to the Don Don Brothers transformation? Aren't they all Rangers? But it was cool because they were technically pulled in from another universe.
And that's the beauty of Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, which is why I'm trying to get you to watch it.
I definitely want to watch it now.
Because like crossovers like that, we'll get to that. I'll address that later. But crossovers like that, like you saw, are like, like what? Because like Power Rangers, we had cool crossovers. Like, don't get me wrong, Dino Thunder Ninja Storm, Dino Thunder SPD. I could keep going.
Mystic Force and was it Ninja Storm?
Mystic Force didn't have a crossover.
It didn't have a crossover?
Nope. The only crossover we got with Mystic Force in it was Once a Ranger, with Xander being the Green Ranger. Lost Galaxies, The Power of 10. That is one of the best crossover episodes. Fight me. Because it features all six Galaxy Rangers and the 5 Space Rangers.
Alright, do me a favor. Name off the Saban era Power Ranger shows.
Oh, just the shows?
Just the shows.
Mighty Morphin Season 2. Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers, technically. Zeo, Turbo, In Space, Galaxy, Lightspeed Rescue, Time Force.
What do all those seasons have in common?
They're they're in the Spawn era.
Yes, but specifically, what do they have in common? And I can ask chat this as well.
Yeah.
Or not chat. If you know the answer, put it in the comments. But would you like a hint?
Yeah.
Okay. Each series came after the previous series.
Right.
And they did a thing in the following series to tell you about a series before.
Oh, they were connected.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was confused.
And much like Power Rangers, Kamen Rider, for at least the first
10 Riders stories,
yes,
are all connected.
yes,
Yeah. And that's why we mentioned Shocker. Shocker is the main villain and the OG villain of the Rider series.
we're not talking about Shocker from Spider-Man.
No. The Shocker's this evil organization that creates like monsters and
They're bikers.
They create bikers. They're your Team Rocket, if that makes more sense to you.
Only they don't blast off.
Yeah. Now, we go into the Heisei era, and that's when Toei, turned up the dial and introduced us to the new era with Kamen Rider Kuga, which aired January 30th, 2000. That started the trend of Rider series being unconnected, having very different stories. So it's kind of like what we did from...
They pulled a Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Which makes me sad, because I like when seasons of a show are connected, because it's like they're telling one large story.
Yeah.
Like for me, that's why the Marvel movies are such a big part of my life, because I appreciate that each story and each movie and now the TV series ultimately will have something to do with the larger movie.
Yeah. Now, me saying that doesn't mean that, one, then they never team up with the series after or before it, but also, two, they do a lot of specials. Rider and Sentai do a lot of specials together, mostly because they're under the same company. But they like to do these specials because there are fans for Rider, there are fans for Sentai, and then there are the ones for both. And what's most interesting about that is, in some of these some of the series, you can see that there's an episode where it features the writer for the next season. And Rider and Sentai do this thing where, for the at the very end of the series, they'll do like this kind of like video where it's the writer from the previous series and the writer from the next series, and they're gonna like walk past each other, and they like do a high five or a handshake or something like that.
Oh, sort of like a handoff.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Because then you know who to expect in the next season.
And then you're like, okay, well, I don't know who that is. I want to know, or like that design, that suit is so awesome. Bro, I can't wait to see who, like what season that's going to be like.
I was about to say, yeah, it's like, do they do it in the suits? That way you don't know who it is?
Yep.
Yeah, that makes more sense, because that would be a better cliffhanger for me, because I'd be like, oh my god, who is it? Who's the next rider?
And then you go to the next one and you're like, that's who that is? Whoa.
Nani?
Now the Heisei era is divided into two, with Kamen Rider Kuga starting and ending at Kamen Rider Decade.
That's a fitting name.
I know, right?
Yeah. It'd be even funnier if they ended it at the end of the decade.
That would have been hilarious. Well, there is something interesting about that. I'm gonna talk about that as I read this next part. The latter being a celebration of 10 years of Heisei and an anniversary season that features the other riders from the other seasons.
Oh, cool.
Decade is interesting series. It's not the best anniversary season when it comes to like anniversary seasons, period. It's a two. How the structure of the season works is he gets a power of each rider in two partners.
So you're telling me that Kamen Rider Decade is Power Ranger Super Mega Force.
Before Super Mega Force. Yep.
Before Super Mega Force.
Decade started the trend of anniversary seasons.
That's cool. I wish we could get a... I'm not going to mention it anymore because it's the Kamen Rider episode.
What?
Nope.
Oh.
Nope.
You can tell me later.
Yes. But jumping back to Kamen Rider Kuga, Kiba followed a format when it came to power-ups. Apparently, it was usually like a base form, and then you receive 3 other forms, and then finally, a final form, which was either a combination of the previous forms or an ultimate version of the base form. That pretty much reminds me of Sora from Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
It seems like this show, like just me mentioning all of these, hey, this reminds me of, it seems like this show is pretty impactful, because it almost feels like without it, we wouldn't have all these callbacks across all these different platforms.
Yeah, there some of the things that like you think that, like it's like how life is, right? Without something either inspiring it or doing more with it, it might not have been as popular, or it might not have even been as relevant as it is. And it's like simple things you think of, you know, power-ups. To think of it like in Power Rangers, you know, we have Super Dino Mode and
Dino Thunder,
right?
Yeah.
And that's their power-up, and each one of them can do it. But then you look at Connor, for example. He gets the triumphant arms, and that's his power-up.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the final power-up is the dragon Ginyu.
Yeah. Or like, I'm gonna pick on Mega Man.
Okay. Yeah.
How he starts as just base level Mega Man, and throughout each season or every couple episodes, he gets another power up where he goes to, like, I'm thinking more specifically Battle Network.
Oh,
where he gets like fire ability and the ice ability and the I almost said wind ability. That's Zero, but he gets all these different abilities based off of which enemy he defeats.
Yeah,
and I'm guessing that stems back from this show, because this is one of the earliest shows. Like, don't get me wrong, if you listen to our anime episode, there was anime that was coming out long before this show.
right.
So I'm pretty sure that this show took inspiration from certain animes.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see a callback to this show specifically, because the concept of power-ups have become like such a integrated part of, you know, specific Japanese series that we almost expect it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way I'd watch any anime and they don't get a power-up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, think of like Dragon Ball Z, because I know most of our audience has probably watched Dragon Ball Z
Or Naruto.
or Naruto, right? Think about that first time that Goku went Super Saiyan, or
Yeah.
Naruto went, you know, Sage mode for the first time.
Yeah.
How did you feel? You like, oh my god, this is badass. Like, whoa.
There's nothing that can top this.
And then they go the next form. You're like,
what?
and so your brain just keeps developing. Like, okay, so what can they do to top that? And that's kind of like the same thing with Kamen Rider is like, I'll take Kiba, which is one of my favorites, as an example. So he has his base form, and he gets a sword form, because a lot of writers in that era were getting like sword form, rod form, gun form, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's just based on the weapon that they get equipped with. But they also get a color change and a different battle style. So like for sword form, he fights more like the animal that represents it, like a wolf. And then like for gun form, he fights more like a goblin or a gremlin. And then for the hammer form, he fights more like a Frankenstein.
Bruh, this is crazy. You talking about forms. This show had to have like a super deep impact in pop culture, just because literally there's another franchise that I can think of where the protagonist changes forms while fighting. They don't change colors, but their fighting style changes and the weapon changes based on the form.
Yep.
And that series is... Tune in next week to find out what series I'm talking about. Next time on Nerd Guys Podcast.
If you're in the Discord, put it in the Discord.
No, I'm joking. If anybody knows the answer to that, leave it in the comments below. I'll give you a couple seconds. Okay, time's up. Dante from Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
In every video game, he can change fighting styles, and it can also affect how he uses his weapon, as well as which weapon he uses.
Also, there's another game that I don't play and you don't play, but some people might be familiar with, Yakuza.
Really?
Yes. Yakuza has different fighting styles, and they're like, it kind of makes me think of form changes.
Yeah.
Because the character changes, like of course his style of fighting, but like his pose, and like if there's a weapon involved, he gets a weapon like a baseball bat.
Oh, nice. That's interesting. Well, while we've been talking about this, I looked up the first Kamen Rider. I geeked out a bit. Shout out to the place I'm about to mention. Me and Jamie. Yes, that's correct grammar, if I remember correctly.
I always hear Jamie and I when
Sometimes it's not correct to say the person and I, but you didn't come here for an English lesson. But we went to this card shop. Well, it's actually an anime, manga cafe, video game, not video game rental, but it's the shop called Gamers Heaven, MPA. And this is not a paid product placement or a sponsor. I just really like the store. We went to this store and it had so many like anime figurines and anime building kits where you could build figurines. I actually wound up picking up Mega Man X and Zero. But the thing is this. Jamie noticed a morpher. I'll call it a morpher.
it's a Kamen Rider driver.
Kamen Rider driver.
Yes.
And I didn't know why he geeked out about it. I saw that it was from Kamen Rider, but I didn't know which one. Apparently, sitting here looking at the photo on Wikipedia, the driver that he was looking at was the OG driver from Kamen Rider 1.
Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you wind up buying it?
I did. I have it in my house.
Oh, man. That's so cool.
That's why I have to wait until I move out, because like if I had more money to like just be able to buy stuff, I would have drivers out the wazoo. I love
up the yang.
Yes, right. Because there's one, you can look it up. Type it in. It's called the Son Goku driver.
The Son Goku driver?
Yes. It is one of my favorite drivers.
Anytime you type anything in with Goku in it, oh, that is dope. I spelled it wrong, that's why.
Look at that.
That's cool.
I love this. It's from Gaim, and I love this driver. I love the driver. I love the concept.
And that's what I always thought was cool. I always thought that this was a version of Sentai, only because I'm like, oh man, they look like Sentai characters, but they don't have Zords. They don't have like rides all the time, and their morphers are belt buckles. What Sentai series are these? Well, it's not Sentai, it's Kamen Rider.
Yeah, they're what differentiates Sentai and Kamen Rider is that Kamen Rider are masked riders that ride on motorcycles.
Yep.
Masked heroes that ride on motorcycles. And some of them do get elaborate machines that they drive or pilot. And
So, one of the things that I noticed, Masked Rider 1 looks like a character from an anime I planned on watching. So, for those of you who are familiar with the anime, Guyver, the bio-boosted armor, his design literally looks like a Kamen Rider.
Yeah, it does.
Like, it looks like it's directly taken from the Kamen Rider live action series. And I think it's so cool because it looks just like it looks just like a Kamen Rider. And like, I know it doesn't seem like much, but this is what I mean, and this is what I meant previously when we talked about the influence of certain things like anime and pop culture. Well, this show most likely predates, or I'm sorry, Kamen Rider most likely predates this show. Yes, it definitely predates this show because it came out in 2005.
Yeah.
You can't tell me or convince me that it didn't have influence on, like, Kamen Rider didn't have influence on this anime, because the similarities are just unfreaking canny.
Actually, to your point, there are some references to Kamen Rider in various anime series. I don't know what the anime is called, but the main character does a henshin from Kamen Rider Wizard, and Kamen Rider Wizard is a wizard, and he uses like rings to transform.
Kamen Rider Wizard is a wizard?
Yeah. He's a wizard, Harry.
He's a wizard, Harry. Alright. So, Rewa.
Oh, wait, go back up.
I'm sorry. I thought we were going to Rewa.
So, Decade is to close the first half of Heisei era Riders, and DK's movie introduced the next half by debuting the next rider, Kamen Rider W. And Kamen Rider W is also called Double, because that's his gimmick, kicks off the second round of Heisei Riders with a detective and his partner, who together form W.
That's two on the nose. I like it, but that's two on the nose. Oh wow, that's cool. So, the round of riders starts with W, and then eventually goes to Zio. Not Zio like Z-E-O, Z-I-O, Zio. Zio is the anniversary rider for all 20 of the Heisei riders.
Zio's one of those divisive series. We'll talk about that later. I have a few, so I will say. Alright, let's talk about the Rewire.
So, the Rewa era started May 13th, 2019. This is the most recent era. It started literally 4 years ago.
Yep.
Just making sure my math was math in there. But in 2019, it marked the beginning for this era with its first Kamen Rider, Kamen Rider 01. Wait, that's interesting. So, and just answer it as if I'm asking about the Toku counterpart. But would Dragon Knight be a part of the Heisei era?
Yes, because Miyuki is Dragon Knight's counterpart.
Okay. Cool. That's the only Kamen Rider that I know. But 01's story follows a young man who's following in his grandfather's footsteps by running his company that produces Humagears. And Humagears, for those of you who don't know, are androids.
And they help with, they do stuff like healthcare and basically imagine the world being having us, but also these Humagears that do.
It's iRobots.
Yeah.
Or iRobot.
They work alongside us in various fields.
A bunch of Sunnies. For those of you who are familiar with Isaac Asimov's iRobot, it's a bunch of Sunnies.
The Rewa era is still ongoing with his recent series, Kamen Rider Get Charged.
The funny thing is, Humagears sound a lot like Chobits.
Yeah, I laughed at myself because I was like, oh no.
Catch our previous episode for the reference to Chobits.
And if you don't know that one, if you know Mega Man X, they're like Reploids.
Okay. Or like the robots from the robots. I've been watching too much Futurama. But they're like the robots from Cubics.
Yeah. Or if Disney, they're like Baymax.
Ba la la la. I am Baymax.
But humanoid and all that other stuff.
Yes. So, please tell me, because at this point, we might be way over time. We're doing pretty good on time.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good on time.
But, what are the big three?
Oh, you want me to talk about the big three or my introduction to Kamen Rider?
Talk about the big three.
Alright, let's talk about the big three, because that'll tie in.
Yes.
So, the big three for me and my friend. So, when I started watching Kamen Rider, I watched it with Titan and our other friend. And
shout out Titan, another friend.
yes. The big three are Gaim, Wizard, and Drive.
Why are they the big three?
They're what we got into when we first watched Kamen Rider. So when I first watched Kamen Rider, I started with Dragon Knight. Now, anyone familiar with that?
I felt basic, because that's where I started.
Well, no, there's a whole story to this. I was already watching Super Sentai by this point.
Yes.
But in Super Sentai, they would have like these little commercial breaks. And do you guys remember, like, especially if you watch like WB or whatever, when they would do the commercial breaks and they would like do a team up of the two commercials that are like the one that you're watching and the one that they're happening next, like Ninja Turtles and Yu-Gi-Oh, for example.
Yeah.
Japan does that too. And in the superhero times is what they call it, they would have what's going on, what you're about to see in Sentai, but recapped by the characters from Rider, and what's happening in Rider recapped by the Sentai cast.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's really cool. And when I was watching Samurai Sentai Shinkenger, which is Samurai for Japan, Kamen Rider The End, which is the secondary rider for Decade, popped up in Shinkenger and stole the Gold Ranger Zord.
Wow.
And went back to his world, and that's why like the Gold Ranger kind of like, he was in the episode and he fought with them, but he's like, bro, I gotta get my Zord back, bro. I can't deal with y'all right now. And I was like, who's this rider? And what the heck is going on? And then the main rider, Decade, showed up the next episode as one of the Kokoro. And he's like taking pictures and like he's just doing all this wild stuff. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, I feel like I'm missing out on something. And that wasn't even the first time it happened, I watched Tokyuger. Restless Sentai's Tokyuger, which is a train-based Super Sentai.
Is that the one where all the trains like converge on the track together and they just combine straight across to make the Zord? Yes, and I made fun of the Megazord. I made fun of your Megazord.
Everyone makes fun of Tokyo. Tokyo gets picked on all the time.
It's probably a great series. It just doesn't have a great looking Zord.
No, it's an amazing series, but even I will admit, to my chagrin, that it does not have the best looking Zord. But in that, there was a crossover episode where the Tokyugers they go from station to station, right? And they visited Kamen Rider Gaim's town, like the town that they live in. And they're fighting the Shockers and some like monsters. And it's just wild. I was like, who the heck are these guys?
I love when theories intermingle. Like, I just think it's great. Oh, this might be worth mentioning. So, according to fandom.com, Masked Rider was originally presented as a spin-off of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah, Saban wanted to kind of make this multiverse type of thing, which is why we got Power Rangers in Masked Hero in episode. We had like references to Hexagon and VR Trooper.
I think all of these are cool.
And
like, my introduction to Kamen Rider was also Dragon Knight. But the reason I never kept watching was because Dragon Knight aired very weird here in the States.
It had a lot of hiatuses.
Yeah.
At the most 4. And that is probably the weakest thing about Dragon Knight. It's a pretty okay series. It has some hilarious quotes. You see that right there? It's my favorite. oh, for Ventura and Earth. I completely forgot about that one.
What I remember of Dragon Knight, I was like, you have this really cool character in, of course, Dragon Knight, who has this power that's super hard to wield, and he's trying to learn how to wield it while fighting this enemy.
This unknown enemy he knows nothing about.
Yeah. But he has a mentor that's like there, and then just goes to wherever and disappears.
Oh, we have to watch. So like, without spoiling it, Dragon Knight is about this. How do I explain this? Because it's kind of convoluted, but it started in the alternate version of Earth called Ventura. There's a mirror version of our world where there are mirror versions of us, and some of those people may be Kamen Riders. So in a mirror world, you may be a Kamen Rider.
Yes, I remember that much.
The evil villain known as Xaviax, he came over to this world to take over it because his arch enemy, Master Yujimon, stopped him from taking over the world over there.
Yeah.
And Yujimon's one of his like warrior riders called Wing Knight, stupid name.
Goldar.
Wing Knight was the one that stopped Zigzags and all this stuff. And but the story begins with a guy named Kit Taylor whose father is missing, and he becomes a rider because Zabiax meets him and tells him that he can save his father, blah blah blah. And he meets Wing Knight, and that's kind of like the basic thing. And their home base is this like bookstore, and they have like a friend named Maya and Tristan, and the aunt who owns the store. That's kind of the basic setup for
Yeah,
right?
I remember to an extent. I remembered everything that you said, but again, that was like my introduction. But the way they aired it in the States, it kind of not put me off, but it didn't make me want to go off and explore anymore. So, rapid fire time. I have some questions for you.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite rider designs?
Man, why are you rapid firing?
Because I want to rapid fire.
Yeah.
I want to rapid fire though. But I want to rapid fire.
Listen.
I'm rapid firing so we can get all the information out there.
Okay. One of my favorite riders designs. So, I already mentioned Gamen. They're fruit samurai.
Yes.
I don't need to say anything more about that. Kamen Rider Wizard. He uses ring magic. So, anyone familiar with magic, that. And the way like his suit changes is based on the gem that's in the ring.
So he's Thanos.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Drive, which I know you like because it's cars.
Yep. Is that the one where he has the wheel on his shoulder?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And the different shift cars that he gets that like he equips himself change the wheel. It's called the tire code.
I have to check that one
out. Some of my other ones are Kamen Rider X-Aid, which is video games, but
I definitely would want to watch that.
yeah, it's so good. And it's doctors, so you really like that.
Oh,
it's doctors in video games. Yeah.
Is that the one where the... Yes. The Kamen Rider I was talking about earlier. The one that's purple, white, and green. Is that
yes, the pink, green, and white. Yeah. That's the one that my car is based on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. For those of you who don't know, when we play Need for Speed, Jamie literally
does stuff inspired from a lot of things I'm watching. I did do inspired raps on riders, and I did one on X-Aid. And it has his catchphrase, "No continues."
Game over, man. Game over, man.
Some of the like older ones from like I liked are Kiva. Kiva is vampire.
I'm just sitting back listening because I'm like, all of these will go on a to watch list.
Kamen Rider Kiva.
I assume it's like very bat-like.
Yep.
Oh, this motorcycle's cool.
His motorcycle's dope as fuck. What I like about his design is what I like about his design is that his base form, he has like the chains over his one leg, and then when he opens it up to do the rider kick, which is on right there, that's like the whole bat being released. So it's very thematic.
Huh.
I love it.
This is cool.
That what you see is like the combination form of all three of his forms that he got.
So this would be his ultimate form.
Sort of, but there's if you put in Kiva Emperor, that will be his final form.
This isn't even his final form.
I love Emperor form.
Oh wow.
It's so good.
That's cool. I wish you all could see it.
It's so cool, and he gets the sword. Not that sword. There's a different sword. Yeah, that sword right there. That sword is so good. I love Kiva so much. It's so stylistic. It's got beautiful music, and the story is very compelling.
You know, that's the one thing that I noticed about a lot of Toku shows and Sentais. They all have really beautiful music.
Yeah.
So, now that you told me about some of your favorite rider designs, who are some of your favorite riders?
I list a lot of them. Gaim, Wizard, X8, Kiva, Deno. I love Deno. Deno's so good. If we're talking about recent, Revice. I love Revice is great. Revice is so good. And I was not we're gonna talk about it later, but like for Don Brothers, I did not expect Don Brothers to be as good as it is, and it was the same thing for Revice. I did not expect Revice to be as good as it is, and Revice is the anniversary season, the 50th anniversary season of Kamen Rider, which is wild. Oh, that's one of his forms.
I feel like this is the refreshing series that I need to watch to cleanse my palate of Power Rangers.
This is why I'm trying to get you into like Super Sentai and Kamen Riders, because you watched Power Rangers for so long and like it's good, but when you get exposed to Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, you're like,
it's like watching, and I'm gonna so pick on it even though I haven't seen it yet. It's like watching the live action One Piece series and then going and watching the anime. One's probably better than the other.
No.
Yes, I went there.
No, go use the Dragon Ball Evolution example.
Oh god. It's like watching Dragon Ball Z and then watching Dragon Ball Evolution and going, why did they make this?
Like, Power Rangers isn't that bad, but I mentioned it before. There are some series where you're like, when you watch the Sentai, you go, why did we get rid of that? Mystic Force is not as bad when it comes to that and that point, but Overdrive is, and I'll talk about that later. That's a different conversation.
It's a different conversation for a different episode.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go there. But like, for our Kamen Rider Dragon Knight, the premise of it is much different than it is in the Sentai. The Sentai I've been described as like, it's kind of like King of the Hill, like whoever is the last to survive type of thing.
Yeah,
which is really neat. Because I haven't watched it. That's one I haven't watched it.
What?
Ryuki.
Well, we could watch it together, because I was looking at it and I was like, I definitely would probably like to start with this one, only because it's the most familiar to me.
Usually what we do in our friend group is we introduce people to the big three. So Gaim, and then you can either watch Drive or Wizard, and then you watch the other one, and then you just kind of start your adventure from there. Because like, for me, I watched Dragon Knight, then I watched Gaim, and Kamen Rider Gaim is Fruit Samurais, but there's a story about going on there with it's kind of like the story of the Adam and Eve with the fruit of knowledge, but it's like, twisted on its head a little bit, and there's some like different aspects. It's so neat.
You have piqued my interest.
Drive has the experiments on like these people or monsters, and the main character is trying to figure out a case that his father was handling. That's basically the premise of Drive. wizard. The main character was magically kidnapped and was about to be sacrificed for, a demon and magic.
I keep forgetting you all cannot see my facial expression. Wow.
I told you.
It's pretty heavy.
Sentai and Kamen Rider do not hold back. At all. At all.
Alright. The little bit of time we have left. You seem like you gave recommendation for Rider series. Obviously, you say start with the big three, or your big three.
Yeah.
Gaim,
Drive, and Wizard.
And Wizard. So, if you're not familiar with the Kamen Rider series, like I'm not, should probably start with those. Man's knows best. I might start with Ryuki.
I was gonna say, like, if you don't want to start with those, I would also recommend Ryuki, Kuga, and Faiz. They're around the same, like, they're of that same, like, era. I think they come right after each other, too. Because most people that I talk to, between all those three series, and, like, I heard very good things about Kuga.
Okay.
And if you're thinking of, like, the current era of Kamen Rider, I'd say Revice, 01 definitely, and I would say Saber, but Saber's it's good, but
it's mid.
It's alright.
It sounds like it's mid.
I love Saber's gimmick, and the story is mostly okay. There's some hang-ups that I'm like, nah, dog.
No.
Nah, dog. No, you can't get away with that one.
No.
But speaking a little bit more about Revice, and I'm not going to spoil anything, what makes Revice so good is what
makes it so nice.
What makes it so nice is that it's so different from the previous anniversary season. So we talked about Decade, and we talked about Geo. And Decade was the first one to do, utilizing the powers of different different writers. So, like,
different Sentai.
I'm getting it mixed in my brain because, like, that's also Gokaiger, yeah. But for Decade, he would use Kiva's Emperor Sword, for example, or he'd use Deno's train that he drives on. And there'd be, like, different references or different powers. And like I said, the Decade was a two-parter type thing where, you got to know him in his first couple episodes, and then immediately you jump into the first Rider world that he goes, and he's in that world for 2 episodes. And it's the same thing subsequently after that, which makes it very boring.
So, what makes Revice stand out?
Because it actually doesn't focus on the Legend Rider gimmick. The character who created Revice says that the reason why these forms are based on the Riders is because he just loves Riders. That's it. Like, he's just a big Rider, nerd. And he's like, I just did it. And it's not like these forms get called out like, oh, Kamen Rider Kiva, Kamen Rider, Ryuki. It's just, you have to be paying attention and be like, oh, that's, okay, nah, yeah.
I see what they did there. That's basically what you're like.
What do you mean?
No, like, when you see a new form and it's reminiscent of a previous rider. You're just like, I see what you did there, because they don't blatantly call it out. It's like more of an Easter egg than anything.
And it's not a part of the main story, it's not a problem, because in Gokaiger, that's literally the plot is they are pirates, they have the powers of the previous Sentai members, in episodes they get to know, meet some of the people who had these powers and get their blessing or whatever, and then they use that power to defeat the main villain of the episode. It's simple, but effective.
Alright. Classic. Because I know we're big music nerds. Which ones, out of all the Rider series that you've watched, which ones have the best theme?
Alright.
Come on. I'll give you 10.
Revice.
Okay.
Oh,
That's one.
Oh god, that theme song goes so hard.
What's 2?
Gaim.
3.
Blade's first theme, Round Zero Brave Blade. Chef kiss.
He said, "Mwah." 4.
Forze. Switch on.
Alright. I'm gonna make this interesting. We're only gonna do 5. Because now you're really gonna have to think. What's the 5th and final one? Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. While Jamie is thinking, if you have series that you love that you think people should watch, or recommendations for theme songs, or your big 3, drop them down in the comments below. Because we're all different, and my opinion might not be the same as James' opinion, which might not be the same as your opinion. But it looks like Jamie has an answer, so what's your last one?
Kiva, Break the Chain. Because I think about that song a lot, and that song is so good.
Chef's Kiss?
The violin goes so hard, you have to hear it.
I love me a good violin and a theme song. Well, I'm sorry. I love me a good violin and a song. So, we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
As you can tell, this is one of our longer episodes.
There's so much more to cover, and we'll have more time to cover it in another episode.
This is why I always say, if we don't get to cover it in one episode, we'll do multiple episodes. Because there's no way we can cover all of any series in one episode, to be honest. And it'd be doing a disservice to you to rush.
Yeah.
So, if you like the episode, drop a like down below, leave a comment, subscribe if you're not subscribed, make sure you click that bell icon, and check us out on the socials.
Yeah.
And remember, if you all are interested in merch, let us know below. The more interest you show, the more inclined we are to release the designs that we have.
Ooh, I have a fun thing for you guys also in the comments. Pick a Kamen Rider series that you think that I don't like.
I have something even more fun. Pick a Kamen Rider series that you think he doesn't know, and leave it down below.
That too, yeah.
That'll be hard. That'll be very hard. Because this dude is the nerdiest of nerds when it comes to Toku, Sentai, and Power Rangers. It's damn near impossible. And with that,
We will see you next time.
bye!
Henshin out.